never was a murderer, think I was almost a victim. So this happened in 2013. This kid named Ricky moved in next door to me when he was around 12, and for lack of a better term, this kid was pretty much a pussy. I remember one time he fell off his skateboard and didn't land hard at all, but he was crying his little heart out in my driveway when he was like 16. So fast forward to when this kid is like 18. By then I'm selling coke and molly pretty heavily, and he's one of my best customers. By now he's hanging with some pretty shady people, which my parents obviously aren't fans of. My parents also didn't know I was ever selling anything because I was also pretty good at keeping it under the wraps. Ricky was clearly a follower. He went from some skater/emo type to some wannabe thug, which he just wasn't built for. So my parents go to the Oyster Banks, North Carolina every year for 2 weeks and ask if I'll come stay at the house while they're gone, which I was excited about because their house is much better than the shitty little one-bedroom apartment I had at the time. So everything was going fine at the house. I had my on and off again GF over all the time, and there was quite a bit of drugs and alcohol going on. I was far from a saint back then. I'll never forget it. It was a Thursday night. My girl had a few hours left. I should say earlier that day, Ricky had seen me out front of my parents' house and had asked for a front. I told him no, considering I never fronted anyone, and in all honesty, had been using too much of my own shit so couldn't afford to. He didn't like that very much, and we got into an argument, and I pretty much punked him in front of his little friends. So by now it's like 2 a.m, and I'm obviously nowhere near tired because of all the coke and molly. I'm sitting in the dark watching Netflix in this den/side living room my parents had in the downstairs, which has a window going outside, which I did have open. I had paused the TV and was on my phone texting and on Facebook when I hear something. It's the screen of my window slowly being slid up. I know the sound. I had snuck in and out of this house numerous times growing up, so I slowly get up and watch the window. I clearly see the screen moving very slowly up through the curtains. So I walk up to the window, and as soon as I get the curtain, at least 3 or 4 people scatter. I run out front, but they are booking it down the street. I knew it was Ricky and his fiends. I didn't see them, but I knew it was those shitheads. I didn't call the cops or nothing because I wasn't exactly living on the right side of the law. So I just go back in, lock everything up, and the rest of the week goes smooth. I never told my parents about it, and I also never saw Ricky again. Called him a few times, which he never answered, which was all more the reason to know it was him, and he knew that I know. So like a month goes by, and I'm watching the news, and Ricky is on it for murder, which blows my mind. Him and his 3 friends went out of town, broke into some old couple's home, beat them, tied them up, and stabbed them. They then burnt the house down after robbing it. They all ended up telling on each other, and he got sentenced to 35 years for testifying against his co-defendants. Makes me wonder, if I was asleep when they got in, what could have happened? You never know what can happen to people that you know, what kind of twisted things can get into their brains, or what kind of effect you might have on their psyches.